Good morning, Slim Jim Phantom from the Stray Cats. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Lubbock, Texas, home of Buddy Holly.
There
right.
you go. That's the man right there. He knows where it began.
Well, it's the rockabilly, man. Of course he knows.
Jerry Allison, Joe B. Malden, Nicky Sullivan, for those rock and rollers like me who like to know every detail.
That is fantastic. Well, first off, we are definitely big fans, and thanks for keeping the whole scene alive, man.
Yeah, that was a very important part of the whole story, man, was that we really wanted to, keep this thing safe until the 21st century, and now it's, someone else's turn. But we did I think I did my part to keep this great American music, alive and well.
In the book is out, Slim Jim Phantom, a Stray Cat Struts. It's not your typical rock star autobiography where it's all about the debauchery and the party and the drugs that's in there, but it's not the focus of the story in yours.
No, because I wanted to do something that I could kind of do that was a little bit different. My whole life approach really is to do something a little bit different that you can be, that you can own. And there's a few guys who are my buddies who really own the rock star debauchery. They could do it better than me. So I tried to tell a little bit of a, PG-13 kind of story of you can somehow, amongst all these wacky adventures, there's a thread of some type of normality in there,
I don't know if your adventures with Lemmy are anything less than a felony, actually.
Well, that's part of it. That's just a small part. There's also the part of Lemmy and me driving in the car, singing along to Fleetwood Mac Rumors,
That's what I wanted to point out to some of our fans here is that we tend to think of rockabilly as kind of a closed, insular kind of thing, but you were hanging out with the Stones, with Lemmy, and with the Pistols, and all these wonderful characters that we knew from the MTV era forward.
It's got the broadest fan base of almost any genre.
Yeah.
Well, rockabilly is the original cool, and that's what we kind of thought it. As kids, we were starting this thing out, but then when we, started to, we were very insulated. We live in Long Island. We've been to New York City to play Max's Kansas City and CBGB's once in a while, but we'd never traveled the world. I'd never been on an airplane until I found myself in London, and we started to play. We got a reputation as being this really good band of American guys doing rockabilly upright. And then I really saw the true influence of rockabilly music and all these guys. Lemmy, what people don't talk about is that if you talk about Lemmy, you have to talk about Buddy Holly, who was his favorite artist. I can't even tell you the hundreds of hours I sat with Lemmy in a car playing Buddy Holly records. And the same with the Stones, with Zeppelin, and then if you want to go to the Beatles, you can't have the Beatles without Carl Perkins, and you can't have the Sex Pistols without Eddie Cochran. And I tried to talk about the guys who I met and had these initial kind of wacky adventures with, but are still friends with. I spoke to Steve Jones this morning. I was just over the summertime playing gigs with Matlock from the Sex Pistols, and I stay in good touch with Bill Wyman from we're still friends with these guys, and we had initially met over the love of rockabilly and the fact that the Stray Cats represented kind of the best part about it.
Man, that's fascinating, and it answers so many questions. Something I wanted to ask you, though, is you're well known for standing up, and you've probably answered this 100 times, but do you cheat when you go in the studio and sit down?
Sometimes, but not often. Never on the Stray Cats record, because there's a certain, those guys want to make sure I'm doing my, carrying my end. But there's a certain urgency to the style that when you stand up, I guess you hit the drums a little bit differently. You just approach it a little bit differently. But I certainly learned how to play in the more trad style, and when I practice, I don't stand up, but I practice. So, but when you do something and you get known for it, that's what the kids want to see when you do the gigs.
True, and you definitely have that style down. Rockabilly and hot rod car culture go hand in hand, and I haven't read the entire book yet, about halfway through. How much into hot rods and just the entire car culture of rockabilly were you and the rest of the guys into?
Well, I have an old Corvette. I'm a Corvette guy, so I love old American cars. Brian was very into it. Brian works on his own cars, and he's a hot rod Ford guy. And it's very important because that's what we loved, and we wanted to be around it. And when we first started doing it, there was a car culture. There's always been a car culture, but it wasn't so much young people, and it wasn't so much rockabilly, and it wasn't it was guys who were into cars, maybe some doo-wop music or some oldies, but it wasn't really the tattoo hot rod car culture that it is today. I think the Stray Cats are a very big part of that, ensuring that developed and also continued,
That vet that you have, is that the same one that you had when you got in with Britt Eklund and the one that's in the book?
Yes, that's my. I still have my Corvette. I've been through a few cars over the years, but that champagne gold, fawn beige, 1961 Corvette. I still have the same car. It's in my driveway, under wraps, but it's in the driveway. Yeah.
I have one final question for you. Since you mentioned it, we have a friend who thinks he has the best Stray Cats tattoo ever. How many best Stray Cats tattoos have you seen in your lifetime?
Well, I see a lot of good ones. Brian and I got ours kind of the first day. And since then, I think the art of tattooing has improved, and like a lot of the guys who get them too are younger than I've seen a lot of pretty good ones because it's a fantastic logo, whether you like rockabilly or anything. Just it's a strong image, and it makes for a good tattoo.